are live.
Hello and welcome to the third day of Feeding Tube Awareness Week. Today's topic is benefits. So, one of the questions is, what does tube feeding mean to you? For me, tube feeding is my food, and it's always been a part of me since I got my feeding tube, my first feeding tube, when I was 4 months old, after having a nose tube for a while. And feeding tubes have just been a part of my life, and it's just a part of me, and it would feel empty, like if we were in Ender's Game and we had our monitors taken out of our necks. It would be like that kind of empty for me. And the next question is, how has tube feeding impacted my life? It gives me life. It gave me life, kind of. It helps me get my food and my energy so I can be crazy throughout the day and annoy my siblings. And it just gives me all my formulas that I need. All 3 cups of it. Describe the best benefits of your feeding tube. I get to dance, and I get to climb trees and be a kid and do all sorts of crazy things with friends, and do dance-offs with my siblings as well, which can get crazy. And now, feeding tube myths and fun time. So, a myth is physical activity is limited with feeding tubes. That is kind of true, but it isn't at the same time. It really depends on your self-confidence. If you want to do a backflip, that also really depends on, are you ready to do a backflip? Sure, you might have to worry a little bit about, is my backpack going to fall off? Or is my bag gonna get stuck on my feet? Or tubing gonna get stuck on my feet? But an easy way to fix that is either making it tighter on your shoulders or tighter on your waist, and getting your tubing not as flimsy as it once was, so it would be easier to do cartwheels, climbing trees, and jumping from high places on playgrounds. Another myth is you can't swim with a feeding tube. My immediate response to that is, so apparently we can't do showers or baths, because that's basically the same thing, because you're also in water. But for swimming, it also depends on what you're swimming in, because if it's a bacteria-filled set of water, you can't really go in there because it could leak through your stoma, and that would cause bad infections. And nobody likes infections, because that really hurts. And sometimes it can get really bad, and you don't want that. Another one is you can't roll and tumble with a feeding tube. All you have to do is be careful and solve your way around it. It took me about 3 months to figure out how to roll on my back, just rolling down a hill on my back with my backpack when I had backpacks. I would just start off in the planking position and slowly roll and just use my arms to make it so that I could roll down hills with friends.
Why don't you show them what you use now instead of a backpack? Stand up and show them.
I now use this. The first prototype was a Game Boy case. One of my sister's Game Boy cases.
And now,
I have more freedom to do different things.
yep.
So, another myth is kids with feeding tubes are always sick. It really depends on why you have the feeding tube. If your immune system is really bad and you're hanging around people who are always sick, that can lead to you going in and out of the hospital. And that was kind of me in first grade when I was in public school, because there were people there that were sick, and I would kind of become a tiny bit of a germaphobe because I didn't want to keep going in and out of the hospital, which I did.
So what have you done to learn how to protect your immune system and keep yourself from getting sick?
Well, when I know that there's going to be lots of pollen outside, I make sure that I always have what I need, which is my handy dandy inhaler, which is up in my room right now because I don't need it since I can breathe. And I also check the weather because that also helps, because if it's windy, pollen just flies everywhere.
And you keep your mask handy when you know others are going to be sick, don't you?
Yes, especially when I go to the hospital for appointments.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's your next question?
Yeah. When you have a feeding tube, it hurts to eat. That's a silly myth. So both eating with the feeding tube and eating through your mouth is just like eating normally sometimes, but when I had no idea that I had a laryngeal cleft, it did sometimes hurt because I would choke on my food and drinks. But now that it's stitched up, I do have to be careful if I have too big of a gulp of the drink that I'm having, or if I'm trying to eat really fast so that I can still have food, because brothers like food. I have to be careful of the amounts that I put in my mouth, because if I have too much and I gulp wrong, that hurts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's your next question?
Feeding tubes are a lot of work. No, they aren't. It's just like if you're waking up in the morning, you do the things that you need to do. You either get your hair all ready, you you brush your teeth, and you eat. And some people do makeup, some people don't. I only do makeup for shows, for dances and theater. But doing your feeding tube and medicine is just any other part of the day. And it's not a lot of work, except if you're a zombie in the morning. And next thing is weirdest questions and statements that I've heard. A weird thought that I had one day after coming home from a button change when I was tired and the anesthesia was wearing off was, what if I was in a zombie apocalypse or a bad natural disaster? How would I do my formula and stuff? My idea is just kind of get all of my boxes of Pedialyte and EleCare, and I don't know actually, but I will.
I bet we would figure it out at that point.
Yeah, but bye for now. See you tomorrow.